Hello, my yarny friends. I'm Sara Sach. Welcome back to my crochet channel. Well, today it's Friday Fun Day, so I've got a really fun project for us to do today. Now we're going to make some hearts, and without the pearl, it looks just like this. And the neat thing about this is I originally put this pattern out there back in 2011. I had found a book that was given to me after my mother-in-law passed away, and in that book was this pattern handwritten with pencil on a piece of paper. And so it just said little heart on it, so I worked it up real quick, and it came out to this cute little heart. And so we took these little hearts and we made necklaces for both us and the dogs. We made bookmarks. We used them as pens to put, pins, not pens, and used them for appliques on lots of other things as well. And so today we're going to learn how to make this little heart and how to attach them together so that you can wear it as, say, a headband, or tie it around something, or just make a bunch and wear them on your shirt, attach them to a t-shirt, a hat, a scarf, whatever you want to do with these fun little hearts. Oh, and the pattern is on my blog with lots of pictures and explanations, as well as we are going to add a free Ravelry download link to the blog so you can go to Ravelry and just download it for free. It's a Valentine's gift. So you can see that I used lots of different colors for my hearts. I wanted them to sort of look like those sweet tart hearts that we get every year at Valentine's Day. That taste like chalk, but we love them anyway. And so they're conversation hearts, and so that's why I called it the conversation heart. Now you can use any medium weight number 4 yarn that you have, any fiber. I have some pink here. This is just some leftover in my yarn stash, pink medium weight number 4 acrylic. Now, I used all solids. You can use variegated. If you look on the blog, I've got some different variegateds that I use that are real pretty. Okay, and so it just takes a small, tiny amount, depending on how many that you want to make. It's a great way to go through your yarn stash and make some fun things and use up your yarn stash. Now, I added these beautiful little pearls, and these are the pearls that I bought from the Dollar Tree. I think I got 120 for $1.25. So that is a really, really good price. And one thing to make sure when you're purchasing beads is that you can get your needle through that bead hole without any problem. That's real important. Or you end up having to switch to a smaller needle and sewing it on later. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the heart. I'm going to show you how to add the pearl, and then we're going to hook them together. All right? So you're going to need your H hook, which is a 5 millimeter, since we're using medium weight number 4 yarn. Just get in your yarn stash, get in your bead stash, and let's have some fun. So first I'm going to show you how to make the heart, then I'm going to show you how to add the bead, and then how to attach them together if you want to make them, say, in a bookmark or headband or collar for you or your dog, or whatever that you want to do with them. All right, so I've got just some nice pink yarn here. We're going to start with our slip knot. We're going to chain 4. Now we're going to be working all the stitches in this 4th chain from the hook. So we're going to begin by stitching 3 triple stitches. So 1, 2, 3. So we have our chain 4. We started in the 4th chain, so that gave us a chain 3 here, and 3 triples. Now we're going to stitch 3 doubles, all in the same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. Now chain 1, and you can see we've got the first side of our heart made. Now we're going to stitch 1 triple, and this is the bottom point of our heart. And then chain 1, and now we're going to work back up the other side. So we'll stitch 3 doubles. 1, 2, some more yarn out here, 3. So we stitch 3 doubles. Now we're going to stitch 3 triples. 1, 2, and 3. All right. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And you'll notice that hole in the center has gotten quite large. Sometimes they get larger than others, but don't panic. We're going to fix it. All right, so we've chained 3. We're going to go in that same stitch and stitch a slip stitch. And we're going to cut our yarn, but we're going to leave a long tail, about 10 inches. All right, so we'll tie that off. Whoops, get back in there. All right, so this is how your heart looks right now. All right, we have that big opening right in the center, and that doesn't look good. So we're going to grab our needle and we're going to thread it on to this long tail. We're going to turn it over to the back. We're going to move this tail out of the way, and we're going to gather up the center. So we're going to go around those stitches and close up that hole. That tail out of the way. And we'll just gently pull that. And then we'll weave this end in, but we're not going to cut it off. This long tail we're going to use to sew our bead on if we want it. All right, so now the hole on the front is closed. So now, if you want to add a bead to your hearts, this is the time to do it. Although you could wait till the very end if you wanted to. But we're going to take that long tail of yarn, put our needle back on it. We're going to come up from the back, sort of to the side. And let me show you on the front. We don't want to come up right in that hole. We want to come up sort of to the side. And please excuse my nose. My sinus has decided to run. All right. Now, we put the bead on. We're going to go right next to the side there. And that's going to help that sit right on that hole. And then I'm just going to do that again, just to make sure that that bead is going to sit securely. All right, so there's my bead. It looks really pretty. Now, if you're going to use this as a pen or pin and you want to sew it onto a brooch pin, this is where you would do that. You'd go to the back here and you'd sew that on. But since we're not doing that, what we're going to do is we're going to weave this end in the back. And then I'm going to take these two ends and tie them securely. This way my bead's not coming off, my ends aren't coming out. And you know I like to do 3 knots. There we go. And then we'll just grab our scissors and clip that. So now this is all ready to be given, to be worn, to be sewn onto something. If you're going to sew it on as an applique, you could leave those long tails and use that to sew it in place. But I'm going to show you how to take several of these and make them into a headband, or say a, I don't know, whatever you wanted to do with them. You could make a headband, a dog collar, whatever that you wanted to make out of them. I used to have you sew them individually, and I thought, you know, that is really a lot of work. And so I'm going to show you how to do that so that you don't have to sew it individually. It looks like I've got a lot of pink and blue with beads. Well, we'll have to come up with a fun pattern here. Let's see. Maybe take the pink one out. That looks pretty. Or maybe we could put the pink one back in and make it lighter pink. I like that better. All right, let's make a headband using these 5 hearts. You can also use this, of course, as a necklace or maybe a collar on your dog. One thing to remember is that each one of these measures about 2 inches across. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 inches. And then the rest we'll do with the ties. So what we're going to do is we're going to begin with making the tie on one side first. So we'll start with our slip knot, and we're just going to chain 25 chains. Now if you want a longer tie, say you're going to use this as a headband and you only want to use 5 hearts, then you can make your tie longer. Just measure it for what you need. I have chained 25 chains, and now I'm going to take my first heart. Let's move these up out of the way, and we're going to turn it over. And we want it to be on this side, but what we're going to do is we're going to go through just that back loop so that you still get the shape of the heart on the front. All right? And we're just going to do a slip stitch, go through all of that, and chain 1. All right, so now our tie is on the side of our heart. Okay, so we chained 1. We're going to go right over to those stitches in the center. We're going to slip stitch and chain 1. Then we'll go to those next stitches, and it's real important that you only stitch through the back stitches. Okay, let me do this chain 1. There we go. So I'll do my slip stitch and chain 1. I'm going to show you the front. There we go. See, the stitches don't show through. We're only stitching through the back loops of all the stitches. And now we're going to go to this side here and only go through those back stitches. And so our first heart is attached. Okay, now we're going to grab our next heart. Now I'm going to take this one out because we're going to go through both hearts. So we're going to put the 2 hearts together on the edge here, and I try to line them up with the bumps like that so that it's nice and even. Let's get the string out of there. All right, so we're going to go through the back 2 loops on this side, and we're not going to stitch in that front loop. We're going to go to the back loops on this side. I can see that loop. There we go. All right, and then we're just going to do a slip stitch and chain 1. All right, now let's look at the front. See how that looks on the front, and see how this looks on the back. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do on this heart what we did on this one. So we chained 1. We're going to go through those loops, just going through the back loops, slip stitch, chain 1. Then we'll go to the next back loops that are right there next to them. Only going through the backs. Chain 1. We'll grab our next heart. We'll match up our heart bumps. There we go. And we'll go through the back loops here. There we go. And then only the back loops here. All right. And we'll slip stitch and chain 1. So again, you can see the back. We're stitching through the back loops only. And now we have 3 hearts put together. And we'll do this with all 5 of our hearts. If you're making a headband, you can add more hearts to it if you want to. It's totally up to you. The most important thing here is not to let your stitches go through to the front. And that's why I take my time here, just going through a couple of those back loops, slip stitch, chain 1, and do it again. Slip stitch, Lost my loop there. There we go. Chain 1, and then we grab our next heart. Okay, so this is how it looks now on the front, and this is how it looks now on the back. All right, it will have a little bit of a natural curl. If you do that, it's okay. You can, if it does that, just dampen it down and sort of stretch it out. But we want that to be nice and snug. We don't want our hearts to be drooping. All right, so I'm going to connect the next 2 and then show you how to end with the tie. I have stitched across, stitching my hearts together. Here's the front. All right, so now I'm going to, I stitched my last single or slip stitch, not single crochet, slip stitch, and then now I'm going to chain 25 again. Now, if you added more than 25 on this side, make sure you do the same thing on this side so they're even. I chained my 25. I am going to cut my yarn. And we're going to tie off. And I'm going to place a knot right up on the end of that tie, because we don't want that coming undone. Give it a nice pull, but don't pull it too hard. You don't want to break the string. And then I'll come back over to this one and do the same thing. There we go. So now I've made either a dog collar, depending on your dog's neck, a headband, a collar for you, and these would look pretty put all together and around the top of a t-shirt, across a bag, on the bottom of a scarf, a hat, lots of different things that you could do with these hearts. Now, when I did this other one, where I did the hearts this way, I did it exactly the same. I started here and did slip stitches, chain 1, only going through the back of the stitches so they didn't show on the front. And then I added a chain. I chained some, I added some beads, and then I finished off with the chain. So those beads will stay right in the center. It's a really simple process. And there's just so much that you can do with these to make lots of lovely Valentine gifts. But you know what? Hearts aren't just for Valentine's Day. This would be beautiful for a flower girl in a wedding. Or make them all in white and have your bridesmaids put them on their baskets, carrying flowers, or decorate with them. Lots of fun things that you can do with hearts. And beads. I love adding pearls and beads to anything. Isn't this just a fun project? You could make hat bands, headbands, trims for shirts, collars, handbags, anything that you wanted to. Bookmarks, appliques, adding all kinds of different types of beads and pearls and things. So many possibilities with this one little